Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You of course can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Monday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily, a very special edition because last night Doctor Who Flux premiered on BBC One UK and BBC America. Doctor Who Flux Series 13 of the Doctor Who revival, and the first chapter of this chapterized season of Doctor Who was of course called the Halloween Apocalypse. So what I did after I watched it, because if you know me, you know that vital pieces of information leave my decaying brain very, very quickly, I wrote everything down. So I'm going to read you off now my thoughts for Doctor Who Flux Episode 1, The Halloween Apocalypse. So let's go. Just finished watching Doctor Who Flux, The Halloween Apocalypse. Great production values, VFX and music, but the narrative structure was a mess. Jodie's performance was very strong. She felt more like the Doctor than she ever has. I like the idea that the timeless child has an enemy she can't remember. He seems like a very cool villain. Dan was a good character. Yaz unfortunately just doesn't work for me as a companion as much as I love Mandip. One of the most important things I learned from my mentor, who I'm not going to name drop, is to let a story breathe. Chris doesn't allow this episode to breathe. Yes, we want to see exciting episodes, but most of the characters were just saying stuff without any personality. Very wooden. This actually is one of my biggest gripes of the Chibnall era of Doctor Who. The third act of the episode was my favourite. I like that the Doctor has been tracking the division, and of course that's where Carvanista comes in. Wasn't overly impressed with the Sontarans. Everything Chibnall does lacks personality in terms of characters. There's me talking about the lack of personality in his characters. Jacob Anderson's character is an example of Chibnall's obsession with optics, but not taking the time to weave out interesting characters or personalities, especially with his POC characters. That's the worst type of inclusion. Chibnall has failed in that department. This is the problem, and I don't say this to be negative or toxic, but this is the problem with SJW writers. It's about optics, but not actually doing the work. They don't think it matters. So the Halloween Apocalypse is at least intriguing, but it's a very scattered, messy script that tries to have humour but fails miserably at it. Of course, it's Doctor Who, so I have no choice but to keep watching, but the sooner we get RTD back, the better. Now, I'm repeating there about RTD coming back from what I saw from a very prominent writer whose name I won't say on here, who said the sooner RTD comes back, the better. Months ago, he was praising Chibnall, so that's very, very interesting as well. Yeah, the episode is a bit of a mess in terms of its narrative tone. It's all over the place. Now, it's purposely supposed to be all over the place, but for me, it doesn't work. Also, let's talk about the sound quality. Now, you can hear the music and the sound effects louder than the actual dialogue. Now, I comment down below. First of all, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this episode. Please, if you disagree with me, say so. If you have other thoughts I haven't jotted down there and said on this video, please let me know. And maybe I'll read them out in the next edition of the Doctor Who Daily. And yeah, so you couldn't really hear what they were saying at times, which was a big problem for me. Now, what I didn't jot down was my opinion on the concept of the flux. Now, the flux is actually some kind of, it looks like some kind of, you know, post-apocalyptic kind of natural destruction of the universe unless someone's set it in motion. Now, I can't remember if the actual villain of this story has a name. He's got a weird face. He escapes his imprisonment very early on in the episode. I like him. Now, the Doctor keeps on phasing out and seeing this person, and he says some interesting things to her the final time they speak in this episode, where he says, they really did a good job on you erasing your mind. Now, this goes back to the Timeless Child arc. and the division. That's why she's been, she searched out Calvinista. We'll talk about him very shortly. And basically he says that they've done battle many, many times, and he says this will be the final time, the final battle. So this is interesting. Now, if she's forgotten about this, this means this isn't anything we've seen since 1963, surely, because they erased her mind of basically what we can say is pre the Hartnell regeneration. All she remembers really is the Hartnell regeneration going forward, which is all we know, which is interesting. The Doctor knows exactly what we know, that she's been the Doctor since the Hartnell era. But of course she hasn't, because if it sticks and she's the timeless child, then she's regenerated so many times, and she doesn't really remember what happened either. So pre-Hartnell, this person was her mortal enemy. Now, did this person always look like this? Is this person in fact another Time Lord? I don't know. Could this person actually be? Now, nobody's said this on Twitter, not one person, which I find very, very interesting. Could that actually be Tek Tae-yun? Tek Tae-yun was the woman who found her, who basically stole her DNA genetic code to create the Time Lord Society on Gallifrey. So, she also has the ability now to regenerate, as she has ever since she stole the Doctor's DNA genetic code. So that person could be Tek Tae-yun. I think there's more chance of it being Tek Tae-yun than anybody else. Now, of course, she saw the flashbacks in the Matrix that the Master showed her, but she's never seen a person that looks like this. So I'm putting my flag on this mast, that the villain of this story is actually Tek Tae-yun, that this whole story pretty much is about the timeless child. So I'm actually happy that he's taking a deep dive into the timeless child arc. It's important. Even if you hate this story, it has to be done. It has to be explored. It has to be explained before he finishes his kind of time as showrunner on his Doctor Who era, Chris Chibnall. Now, I like the start of the episode. They're hanging upside down because Calvinista's got them prisoner. They fall. I like the bit when she's trying to talk to the handcuffs, because apparently the handcuffs understands her voice. But then she says, maybe I did it with my Scottish voice. So giving Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor a little shout out. Apparently Eccleston and Billy Piper got a shout out. Rose and the 9th Doctor got a shout out in this episode. Everyone on Twitter keeps on saying so. But I was watching this episode at 3 in the morning. And so, yes, family problems, so I was awake, not good family problems, so that's when I watched it, because I don't have access to it from the BBC or the iPlayer. So I would have watched it when I woke up around this time when we're talking, but luckily I got up early and I watched it. Well, it wasn't lucky I got up, it was a fucking disaster, but every cloud has a silver lining, right? That depends if you like this episode or not. I don't hate this episode, but I don't love it either. I think that's where I am with it. Now, when they fall, they land in the TARDIS and they land on a mattress or a bed or whatever. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are going, oh yeah, there's a mattress there. And so, look, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Are the Doctor and Yaz lovers? It wouldn't surprise me, but because I think Chibnall wants to represent these kind of things, but he's a bit of a chicken shit, or the BBC wouldn't let him. He's had to put a mattress in the TARDIS. But Yaz does mention when the Doctor's underneath the console trying to fix something, we're friends, aren't we? Isn't that what the Doctor says? Or she says it. I can't remember which one of them says it. So are they friends with benefits? I don't know. On Yaz, she's never worked for me, and she still doesn't. I love Mandip Gill. I started watching Mandip Gill in Hollyoaks, where she delivered for years a consistent, beautiful performance as her character. I have no issues with Mandip Gill as an actress, and I think she's a wonderful person. That's not my issues. It's the writing. She's so mundane and so bland. Some people are saying, why can't she smile? It's not about her smiling or not. I don't care about that. You can be a gruff character who never smiles. I know people in real life who don't smile. Now, I'm a smiler. I like to smile at people because I think it disarms people, but it doesn't mean everyone has to be like me and be like me. we can't force people to smile, right? But it's not about that or being a happy character. She's just a very, very bland, uninteresting character. And I know Jodie and Mandip fans are obsessed with them and think they have this great chemistry. I don't think they have. I know all about chemistry. I've been watching television and film since watching Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder's beautiful chemistry in Superman the movie as Superman, Clark Kent and Lois Lane. I know chemistry, and these two have got no chemistry. I'm perfectly comfortable with the Doctor being lovers with one of her companions. It ain't a problem to me. I don't lose sleep over these kind of things. Why would I care? It's not something I would do as a Doctor Who showrunner. I wouldn't involve romance between the Doctor and the companions. That's just me. I find that kind of shit boring, whether it's heterosexual, gay, or a transgender relationship, whatever. It's all boring to me. I like the action, I like the drama, I like the character, that kind of thing. So it doesn't interest me. I'm no fucking shipper, but I think that's enough said about that. But yeah, it doesn't bother me at the end of the day if they are lovers. But the mattress is there for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I don't think they're going to explain the mattress or anything like that. And to be honest with you, that's the last thing on my mind. I couldn't care less about the mattress. I just thought I'd mention it as we're talking about the episode. Now, Carvanista. I like the performance. It's an interesting character. We found out that his people were actually picking up. They all had their humans to pick up to save them before the Earth is destroyed. I like the concept. He looks shit. He looks shit. Now, is he disguised as a dog? I'm not sure. Someone in the comments below explain to me, does he look like that? Who remembers Bungle in Rainbow, right, in the children's TV series? You could tell that he was wearing a suit. You can tell he's wearing a suit, so maybe there's a proper alien under there, or a human being, or someone else. Or is it? Because he's very similar, he sounds very similar to the character in Love and Monsters, you know, the villain from there that Peter Kay played. And he kind of is it him that sounds like that? Oh yeah, I've nearly forgot. How could I forget about the Sontarans? Didn't like the Sontarans, didn't like the dialogue, didn't like this, you're ugly, you're disgusting. I didn't like all that. I know maybe that's how they used to talk in Classic Who. They're supposed to look like what they look like in Classic Who. I don't remember seeing them in the Peter Davison era episodes that I did. That was my first Doctor, but I'm not saying I saw every episode of the Davison era. So you, again, comment down below and let me know what you thought of the Sontarans. Personally, I think they look better in the Moffat and RTD era. And the dialogue they had was much better. And Strax, even though he was a comedy clown character, I think he worked better than these two put together. And he's funnier, because they're trying to be funny as well. So we got the Sontaran War in the next episode, or whatever it's called. Listen, I was expecting something a lot more cohesive and constructive, and something a bit better than I saw. As I said on the top of the show, I see this episode as messy at best. I like the music. Some people were complaining about the music. I thought the music was okay. I mean, I do want Murray Gold to return. I want his grand themes to return. But let's be honest, this guy could have the same grand themes. Clearly, Chibnall won't allow him to. You can only do what your boss and showrunner allow you to do. I think that's what was great about the Russell T Davies era, that Murray, you know, constructed these great John Williams type themes for the Doctor and the companions, and different characters and action moments and, you know, emotional moments. It was great, but clearly either Sagon Akinola doesn't believe in all that, or his showrunner and boss won't allow him to do it. Either way, I prefer what Murray used to do, and we do need him back. Fingers crossed, RTD brings him back. Yeah, look, honestly, I believe, bring on Russell T Davies, bring on 2023, because this isn't exactly bad Doctor Who, what we saw last night. But I'm not saying it's great either. It's not great Doctor Who either. I don't know what to make of it. It was a good little cliffhanger, of course it was. Everything's being destroyed. The TARDIS doors keep on moving as well. That's interesting. The perception and time of time and space is changing as well. So I believe this is all connected to the Timeless Child arc, which is good, because we had that debate on here many times. Would they deal with it? Would he wait to the final trilogy next year to deal with it? Now the question is now, what we still don't know, will they answer the Timeless Child question completely once and for all? And you know, who is this Doctor? Is our Doctor the real Doctor? Now, there's no reason we should suspect that Jodie's Doctor, the 13th Doctor, isn't the same Doctor, but it looks like the perception of the universe is changing in this Doctor Who flux. Now, what is the flux? Is it destroying worlds, or is it the multiverse crashing through the universe, the first universe, the main universe? It could be that, because the TARDIS is being kind of eaten alive by this destructive force at the end. But maybe when we go into the next episode, the TARDIS is taken into another part of the multiverse. Maybe I'm wrong about the multiverse. I think that would be more exciting. Maybe it's too exciting and expansive for Chris Chibnall. Listen, Chris Chibnall isn't suited to sci-fi, and that's just my opinion. I don't think the man's suited to sci-fi. He's suited to cop dramas. He did work, I don't know if he was a showrunner, but he was part of Law and Order UK, which was brilliant. He did do Broadchurch. He could do that, because cop dramas, UK cop dramas, are very gritty and cloudy and dark and grim. And although I thought the characterizations of his characters, both in Law and Order UK and in Broadchurch, were much better. So I don't understand all, and in say that again, and in Torchwood. So I don't know what's happened here. He just doesn't seem to be, the thing is, for me, there's no effort. They've invested lots of money. As I say, the VFX is beautiful and stunning. It's like watching, you know, a Hollywood blockbuster, but that's not enough. You've got to breathe life into these characters. Now, it's interesting, he spent a lot of effort in his writing making sure the Doctor was more Doctor-like this time. I mean, she started to get more and more Doctor-like in season 12. I think Jodie Whittaker is the life and soul and heart of Doctor Who Flux and the Halloween Apocalypse. I think she's the best thing about it, in my opinion. At least she works in it. But the episode has so many problems. The story's interesting, but everything's coming at you weirdly. And he does this kind of Broadchurch thing where he's focusing on all the characters he's introduced to amp the drama up, if you like. Now, I normally like that kind of thing. Here's the difference. In Broadchurch, he used to do it by playing that haunting Broadchurch theme over it, which was very compelling. The music that Sagan was playing over it wasn't compelling. I didn't feel it. That was the problem for me. I mean, what would I give this episode out of 10? It's a difficult one, because I don't really want to go really, really low, but I also don't want to go really, really high. I think I'm going to say 6 out of 10. I think, and this is just my opinion. This is not your opinion, obviously, but I'm desperate for your opinions. Please let me know, because I want this channel to be a place of a variety of opinions and not an echo chamber. Echo chambers are bad, because when you're in an echo chamber and someone says something that you don't necessarily agree with, it gets a bit toxic. But we don't want that, do we? We want to be respectful of everyone else's point of view, because we were all born from different parents. We were all brought up. You know, we were taught different life lessons, so we have different views and opinions about things. And that's why we defeated Hitler, wasn't it? So we could all go around and say whatever we wanted within reason, as long as we're not too hurtful to each other. So I'm going to give this episode 6 out of 10. I am underwhelmed with it a little bit. I was hyping it all up, of course, Doctor Who Flux, with you guys here. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's still interesting. The positives are he's taking a deep dive into the Timeless Child. Of course, we're not going to know too much, but Jodie did tease we will get some answers. So this is going to be very, very interesting now. I think he'll set up something even deeper at the end of this series to continue into his final 3 episodes. I would imagine he's not going to conclude the Timeless Child arc. We're not going to find out if Jodie Whittaker's Doctor truly is the Timeless Child by the end of the Flux Series 13 of Doctor Who. I'm still saying she's not, and there's something else going on here. It'll be very interesting what that is. So we saw the characters. We didn't see the master. I'm assuming Sacha Dhawan's master will show up. No, I don't think that is Sacha Dhawan's master, unless it's a it's a pre-master that we've never seen before. That would be interesting, and maybe she's forgotten about that version of the master. That would be a bit three-dimensional and bland, but that's Chris Chibnall for you. So I really want to know what you think in the comments down below. Please let me know. But for me, it wasn't bad, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't great either. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Remember to like, share, comment. Please subscribe. The most important thing of all. And please hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye.